Yeah. So, yeah, dark justice is very much looking at child abuse, um, but coming at it from like another angle. And there are people in who are very close to me who had been abused, and they were young, and I was incredibly angry about that. And one of them I found out about when I was in my 30s, early 29, 30. And they were older. They'd only told a few people.
How did they just tell you one day?
Yeah, we were like, unfortunately, out drinking and yeah.
Oh, God.
And the thing I know is that most people are too scared to talk about it, so it's like this shame. And that's the thing. That's the most poisonous part about it. Like, people should be able to talk about this freely and get the help, because it's not your fault, and everyone thinks that's the natural thing. It's like, you know. And so I was incredibly angry at her, and I went on this kind of journey and kind of crusade, and then I saw this interview with James O'Brien on LBC, and it was interviewing a paedophile who had never abused and never looked at child pornography, and he hated himself. And I found that fascinating. I'd never seen it from that angle. And something kind of clicked, and I was like, hang on a second, there's like way more we can be doing about this. They introduced me to a charity called Stop So, or he did, on this interview. And so I reached out to them, and they helped me with some research and went back and forth with them.
And for those of us who don't know, just briefly what Stop So is.
So Stop So stands for Stop Sexual Offending, and they are a child protection agency, but they work with people who have been abused, but they also work with offenders. They work with people who have these thoughts or feelings. Perhaps they've clicked on an image, but 80%, I believe, or more, maybe higher, reach out for them. They, from their research, know how kind of beneficial it is and helpful it is, if we want to kind of really look at helping and making a difference to what's going on, and the amount of people, children, that are being damaged and hurt by this.
Yeah.
You have to like look at it from this side and help the people that need help, who are actually asking for help.
It's like the preventative.
Yeah. So that's a lot of what they do, but they also help with people who have been abused. And so, yeah, I went back and forth with them, and I spent a couple of years researching it. I got alopecia while researching it, because I got so kind of angry and worked up about it, and went a bit too heavy into it.
Oh, gosh.
But I was able to like come out the other side.
Yeah.
But it was a real like journey, that project.
Do you think it changed you?
Probably. Everything changes you in some way or another. But I think it, like...
And did you view the person who told you this any differently? Because I think that's something, when people don't say things, I think that's often a fear that they have, is that people will look at them differently.
No, definitely not.
Did
it
you
just
ever
made
have
me
that?
Like sad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into them so
Yeah.
much, but the in terms of how I view, not at all. It just made me sad more than anything. And also how people react to, like, every time I tried to speak to people about it who were close to me, there would be a shutdown. And this happens to most people in society.
100%.
No one wants to go there.
No.
And I was quite shocked by, like, even people who were going, so it was just like one.
Yeah.
There was no, and I couldn't, of course I get it, I can understand it, but I couldn't. I was like, why are we not like, you know, and it goes back to like therapy, right? And therapy, and this kind of defense to not talk about stuff. It's a very British thing as well.
But we know that's the only way forward.
Yeah, the research shows that, right? But like still there's this huge stigma attached, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no, of course it didn't change anything of how I know. Definitely not. It made me really sad that they couldn't talk about it. And it's not about like shouting about it. It's just in a healthy way, being able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And hiding this from such a young age to most people. So yeah, I went on this journey and used a lot of that interview, particularly with James O'Brien, who, funnily enough, I saw in the street like a few months ago, and like
Did you tell him?
I followed him for a while, yeah.
Like in the street, you followed him?
Yeah. It was a bit weird.
It's okay. You had a purpose.
But
was
he
a
was
positive
actually
one.
really lovely. He was really lovely. He was like, "That's amazing. I'm going to watch the film."
Did you ever hear from him?
Nah, I haven't heard from him. But I was like, "Let me know what you think."
Yeah.
But you know, it won
That's
some
quite
awards,
cool.
and it did good. We won like best human rights film, and best international short, and it was great. Like really cool. The kind of impact it's made in kind of a short space of time.
100%.
But it can be quite a triggering film, I think.
Yeah.
And so when we did the short film just as like a teaser, just to be like, it was something we could make on a shoestring, right? We could get that out there. And then I sent it to StopSo, and we just got the loveliest, because they didn't know who I was, you know, and then we just got the loveliest response. And now I've formed a relationship with them, and they're using it for their conferences, and the police are now using it.
That's
and
amazing.
That's really exciting.
Did you ever imagine that it would reach all these people?
I didn't really know what.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many expectations, but I hoped it could, like, the main thing that I always said was I just wanted to create a discussion and a dialogue.
Yeah.
And I think it's done that, and I think it still is, and I don't think it's even started yet, if I'm honest. And I think there's a lot more work to do, and I think it's the start of that.
Yeah.
I think it's like, because
when I watched it, the thing that I think we treat pedophiles, regardless if they have actually committed any crimes, we treat them almost not as humans. And I feel like in that Dark Justice film, you almost made the viewer view them as humans. Like you made it very clear that, this is an illness to some regard.